It is always a pleasure to have my next guest on the show. And of course, it is Tim Johnson, who will be fighting for the Bellator 261 interim heavyweight championship main event going down June the 25th at the Mohegan Sun. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. And as we were just saying before we went live, fight's right around the corner. How has this camp been? How are you feeling leading up to the big night?
We're knocking on some wood here. Camp's been going great. I had a lot of great bodies in the gym. A lot of great bodies. So I'm getting all kinds of looks and getting beat up by people, making people making me key to stay honest. And I think this is a pretty good camp that I put together overall.
Has this camp been any different than previous ones? Have you dialed in like anything specifically for this matchup?
The only thing I really upped a little bit was a little more road work. Been getting a little more running in, kind of pushing them out a little bit. I don't want to fight 25 minutes, so I make sure I'm prepared if we do go that long.
Now, the heavyweight limit is obviously 265 pounds. What are you planning on coming in around on fight night? Do you have like a weight range that you're more comfortable at?
My last fight was Czech was probably the lightest I weighed in my fighting career, and I think it was like 259. And I wanted to end goal here at some point to hit about 250, and I probably would have hit that goal, but I had a couple of months there where I had to do some guard. I had to do some military duty, and it's hard to eat right on your non-military orders. So if it had been for that, I think I've been pretty close to my goal. But overall, I think I'll be under 260 and a little trimmer than normal.
So we're still about 3 weeks out. Like, what left do you have to do here in camp before you make your way to the Mohegan Sun?
Just maintain and not get hurt. That's I think a lot of fighters, they go in there and they know when it's getting that 2 weeks out. I think they're more afraid of making sure that they don't do something stupid, like just fall weird and tweak something. It's always in the back of the mind to stay healthy.
So who have been some of the main guys that you've had this camp down at Extreme Couture?
The main guys have been like Carl, Vinny, Ronnie got back marks. Been working a lot with him. Latifi and Walt Harris. They fight this upcoming weekend, so they were both here for their camps and got a lot of great work with both of them.
Yeah. So how are they looking for this? Obviously Saturday's the big night for them. Like, expecting fireworks.
I am. They're looking great. Me and Latifi had a lot of good grappling battles. There, a lot of Greco battles. So it's kind of nice to get into a little bit of the old wrestling style, and I think that's the way that Moldavsky fights. It's kind of like grindy, sambo, Greco type wrestling. So it was good to get working him. Walt, super explosive. I can't stress that enough. Like, you're thinking, oh, we might be getting the better of him. All of a sudden, he pops off, a 6-punch combo out of nowhere and kind of takes you off guard. But I expect both of them guys to get their hands raised here this weekend.
Yeah, really exciting card here on Saturday. I got to ask you about Francis. Has he been around at all this camp?
Not for this camp. He went back. He went back home for I think about 5-6 weeks ago. So yeah, it's about the start of my camp. He went back, and prior to that, I was at guard, so he was here training. So I didn't get too much training time with him this time around. I think he gets back here next week or the week after. So I'm not sure if I'll even get too much time, and it's still too close to the fight. But prior to that, I was getting plenty of work in with Francis.
Yeah. Did you expect that end result with Stipe and their second fight there? Is that what you thought was happening?
Absolutely. It's a night and day. His wrestling and his wrestling defense, not even just his wrestling defense, his wrestling has gone through the roof, night and day difference in the last year. Even, from 2 years ago to now, you wouldn't even recognize it's not the same fighter. I wasn't surprised by it at all. And the thing about Francis is, he was so raw with it. Like, he had a striking, he's got all that horsepower, but he didn't really grow up with grappling. He's got all this natural talent, but on top of that, he's actually a quick learner. Like, he's a quick learner. When you're giving pointers, when you go over something a couple times, it sticks. So that's how I knew it was like this fight was going to be totally different.
Stipe was just on Submission Radio, and he was adamant saying that he knows the mistakes he made in that second fight, and a third fight will be different. He will recapture the belt. Do you think, is that him just trying to pump himself up going against a monster like Ngannou, or do you feel like there is a chance that he could make some adjustments and maybe make a third fight more competitive?
There's always a chance that he can make it more competitive, especially at heavyweight. You never know what's gonna heavyweight. You can't bet on heavyweight fights. Like, you really can't. You never know how they're gonna go. And Stipe, I'm a huge fan of Stipe. He's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But I don't think he unfairly has the fanfare following him, or that a lot of people understand that. But rewatching the fight, I don't know what he could really do from stakes wise. I mean, he ate some really good shots with Francis that would definitely put me down. But other than that, you can see the evolution of Francis during that fight. He was calm, he was collect, didn't rush. He just kind of took the fight as it came to him, and he capitalized. With that said, Stipe came in a little lighter. I probably wouldn't hurt to add on a little bulk against Francis. He's a big boy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now Walt Harris is up next for Francis, and oddly enough, Francis lost to him the last time. I mean, all due respect to
not Walt.
Derek Lewis.
Yeah, Derek Lewis. Yeah, that's all right. We were just talking about Walt, so that was
yeah. I had Walt on my brain. Derek Lewis, another massive heavyweight that's scary. And, all due respect, as I was saying to the Black Beast there, but I was surprised that he won their first fight against Ngannou. I had money on Francis to win that fight. Is that just from a teammate's perspective? Like, have you heard him say, like, is that a fight that really irks him that he's going to come back and make a statement on? Or do you feel like this could be a competitive rematch?
Nothing. He hasn't nothing's came down the chute my end that I've heard him like really have a grudge against him. I think Francis right now he's being a champ, being a fighter, and he doesn't care. He's in throw whoever in front of me, and we're gonna go win. Yeah, that fight was weird. They both of them. What was that? 3 years ago already?
Was it that long ago?
I think it was. Yeah, wow. I think it was. Yeah, because it would have been. I do think it was somewhere around that long ago, maybe in 4. No, it's 1, 2, 3. I got to do math. I don't know. It's been a while, and Francis. I've seen Francis from that. This Francis would beat the crap out of that Francis that long ago with ease. He's just evolved that much, and I think they both were just big punchers, and no one wanted to give anyone a chance to land that big punch, and so it's just kind of that dancing battle right here, like who's gonna go first? And it's not. I think they'll still be cautious with each other, but I think it's gonna be a different level. Just like I said, from that grappling perspective, Francis is slowly evolving into an MMA wrestler.
Yeah, based on what I've seen, I think you nailed that 100% right on the head. Now, last time we talked, Tim, the Bellator ranking system hadn't been implemented yet. Now it is. You're the #1 contender here, and then you got Valentin. He's #3. How do you think the voters did as far as getting the rankings right?
I think they did pretty dang good overall. Remy being in the place I am, well, the last 3 wins have been at the time. So at the time I fought Matt, he just came off the heavyweight tournament last time he fought. So, and he made it to semifinals. So technically, if you put it in that frame, he was a top 4 heavyweight. And then, they put Tyrell at #4. So he's top 4. And then Czech has been the #1 contender for, since the first time they fought. So I got that win. So from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, I should be #1. And everyone else down the line, Linton, I think he'll get a shot here eventually here too. He's put on a pretty good run. He looks way better at heavyweight than he did at light heavyweight from just watching his fights. And yeah, I think overall he did pretty good.
Obviously, you're 100% dialed in and focused on Moldavsky right now because that's the fight around the corner. But as someone that is at the top of the division, are you paying attention to some of the younger up-and-comers? Like a guy like Davion Franklin, who's the latter part of the top 10, like younger, hungry, who could be someone that you could face at some point down the line. Does that ever like creep into your mind? Are you ever watching those fights thinking that this is a guy that I could be facing at some point soon?
Not at this point in time. I've only that was like earlier in my career when I was kind of hanging out down a lower tier. Now that I'm where I'm at, I'm just kind of looking forward, not looking backwards, and just concentrating on this fight. Moldavsky is going to be a tough out. he's a young, spry. What is he? A 28, 29-year-old. Heavyweight, moves athletic. This is gonna be a tough challenge. I'm almost all respect to Ryan, but I think this might be a tougher challenge than Ryan.
No kidding. Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Ryan because I did want to ask you about his most recent performance down at light heavyweight, big win over Machida. Like, were you impressed with that win? Did you feel like he looked good in there? Like, give me your overall assessment.
Yeah, I thought he did. On top of that, the reason I'm saying that is because I thought actually Machida, he implemented a pretty good game plan for the majority of that fight, was able to stay separate, had some great body kicks on Ryan. He was able to weather a storm and do what Ryan does. And yeah, I thought it was a good win for him.
Do you feel like Bader is better at heavyweight versus light heavyweight? Like, do you think there's a difference in his game when you're watching him at either weight class?
He's a heck of a light heavyweight, but I think he probably is a little bit better fighter at heavyweight. No offense, Ryan, if you see this. This is just me saying, Father Time's coming along. His hand speed may not be there with every light heavyweight, but it's probably faster than the majority of heavyweights, and that goes a long ways. For taking from my perspective, a hand speed guy I hate it. I'm not a hand speed guy, so I just kind of got to weather it for a while. And and he's been very successful in both divisions. And once again, can't blame him for going down and doing the tournament. Chance to win another $1 million and get his belt back. I would have done the exact same thing.
I can't imagine, he cuts more than maybe like 30 pounds to make 205, but it's probably around that area, right? Like, do you think that's going to really have some negative effects on his body here moving forward?
I think this fight with Nemkov, like, I don't think he was all the way trimmed down to what he wanted to be before he made the cut. That's just my outsider's perspective. For this tournament, I think he was walking around like 230, nice easy cut. Before that, I think he was, at the heavyweight tournament, I think he was walking around like 240, 245, maybe creeping on that 248 area. So, and he wears it well. He's not, he doesn't have a love handles like I do. Like he's a thick guy and athletic. So I think it was just kind of that Nemkov one, just was his first fight back down, and I haven't experienced that, but I'm guessing it probably had a little bit of effect on his body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him here moving forward at both weight classes. Back at the Mohegan Sun again, but the difference this time is there's going to be fans in attendance, which is unbelievable. Life is getting back to normal. How exciting is that for you?
It's exciting. I kind of almost like the no fans thing, honestly. I just like going to the cage, getting the work done, going home. But I had fans out. We had fans in France, out of all places, which I couldn't believe that they actually allowed fans there. But this one's gonna be a little different, a little higher capacity, and a little more in your face. At the France, there was a bigger arena. Here at Mohegan Sun, they're kind of on top of you, so it's gonna be a fun environment.
Do you feed off of that? Like when the fans are there though, like does it get you more amped up?
No, not really. I don't really interact too much with the fans. It actually, if anything, is negative. I'll lose focus in the fight sometimes, and I'll hear the fans. I'll be like, "What the heck that guy just say?" I'm like, "Oh, Tim, you're in a fight. Pay attention."
When will you be making your way to the Mohegan Sun, and who will be in your corner come fight night?
I'll be making my way here on June 20th, I think. So a couple Sundays from now, 2 Sundays from now. And I'll have my corners Nate Pettit here for Extreme. And one of my buddies, Nate Baker, wrestler from back in Minnesota, and then my coach Dylan Spicer from ACA in Fargo.
Now, obviously, this is for the interim heavyweight championship. Like, this is what you've been wanting. You want to have the official belt. Like, no, I'm sure you don't want the interim right there, but just winning that is the first step to achieving what your goal is here. Do you feel extra pressure going into this fight? Like, are you a little bit more like nervous or tense leading into this championship fight?
Nah, I'll be the underdog again. People will say I don't deserve it. That's fine. I'll have even journalists and commentators maybe that will be propping up Moldavsky, and just like always, no one expects much from me, and I'm just fine with that.
So he's coming off a couple of UD wins over Roy Nelson and Javier Ayala. give me your thoughts on, his last couple performances, and maybe if you've seen something that he does or doesn't do that you might be able to implement come fight night to give yourself a little advantage.
Well, I don't think there's not much to implement. We actually have a very similar fighting style, which I don't think I've ran across in in any opponents that I've had. Both grinders, both like getting wall, and yeah, man, he's a tank. Just keeps coming forward and doesn't stop. And yeah, I don't know. Basically, I think this is going to be who can outwork each other in the pummels and the clinch work. Because basically, who's going to probably win the fight.
Do you envision this going the distance, or do you think you're going to get a finish? Like, give me your official prediction here.
More likely, it's probably going to go to 25 minutes. I'm not going to go out there and throw caution in the wind. It's a 25-minute fight on top of it. I'm this close to achieving one of my goals. I can't just go out there and be stupid. With that said, I want to make sure I want to put on a show, and I want to leave it all in the cage. I don't want to walk out of the cage with something left in the gas tank and feeling like I could have done more. That'd probably be a worse feeling than losing, honestly.
What would winning this interim belt mean to you? Can you put it into words?
Just another check mark. Actually making goals and achieving them, making all the work, all the years, all the punches, all the injuries, everything kind of worth it. And I didn't have to take the interim title. Brian said, I could wait around for him until after the tournament and he could get done the title fight. Well, I don't want to sit around. I want to fight.
Yeah, well, I know the fans love that you're stepping up here, fighting a tough guy, staying active, and hopefully for your sake and your team's sake, you get this strap here, and then you'll get to unify it against Ryan Bader down the line. Tim, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my man. I think you're one of the true good guys here in this sport. Again, June 25th, Bellator 261 main event interim heavyweight championship. Tim Johnson, Valentin Moldavsky, and it's going to be a barn burner. Before I let you go, man, tell people where to find you on social media, and if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as tbeartim, and just look it up, hit that follow button. Trying to do that social media thing that I've been ignoring for like 10 years. And my sponsors, H9 Nutrition, Burgess Events, they do veteran-owned stuff. Texas Oil Group, Grunt Style, and Brutus Brickhouse and Fargo there. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all.